Welcome to the Fight with Teddy Atlas, presented by Dynamic Striking. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by Boxing Hall of Famer, the legend Teddy Atlas. Teddy, busy weekend for you this weekend. Would you go to sleep at like 5 o'clock in the morning Sunday?
4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. I mean, we got to be there for our people, right? We can't let them down.
I know we talk about this every week, but Jesus, does the main event have to start at 1 a.m. Eastern? I mean, seriously, like I fell asleep in the middle of the Volkanovski fight. I had to wake up and watch it back. I'm too old, man. I can't stay up this late. I know I sound like a crybaby, but why does it have to start this late? The Super Bowl doesn't start at 1 a.m. Every week it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, the good and the bad news. The bad news, we were up late, and the good news is one of the last ones I watched was Garcia. That put me back to sleep, you know. We'll get to that with full details. I know the fans are drooling to hear us cover that one. But yeah, there was a lot of fights. I stayed up. I had to watch them on tape, the late ones, because they're on at the same time, obviously, some of them. So I watched a few of the boxing matches late. I don't want to hear anything from the boxing fans griping. Oh, you watched the boxing late and you watched the UFC live. Yeah, always honest with you guys. Yeah, I did. Not because I love boxing or I hate boxing now or love it less than I do and I favor it over UFC. I've been straight with this, and Ken has too, and I've been consistent with this. UFC gives better fights on the whole. You know, you see a UFC fight, you know, for the most part, you can count on competitive fights. And boy, oh boy, did you get one. We'll get to it later, but man, talk about being tested. Oh, boy, oh boy, was Chimaev tested. But listen, it turned out that there was one good one. It sure wasn't a Garcia one, but there was a good boxing match, and I did watch it at 2 o'clock in the morning. But it's okay. We got it all watched. We did everything we need to do to be able to report back to you people, and we're ready to do that. Before we do it, I just want to make sure all systems are go with you for the Boston Marathon coming up Monday. You ready to go?
Ready.
All right.
I feel real confident.
All right, great. You look good. You got all the miles in that you need to get in and everything else? Yeah.
I have no excuses. I've done everything perfectly.
You got the athletic greens. You got the athletic greens ready to travel to Boston, was you?
That goes without saying. I don't go anywhere without athletic greens.
All right, good. Well, good luck. I mean, we'll be talking, obviously, but we won't be talking before the race on camera. So good luck with that.
That's right. We'll be recording Thursday in New York. We're going to do some fight plans for you guys. But yeah, the next time we talk will be right after the race on Monday. So yeah, thank you. You're right. We won't talk before then with the fans anyway.
And I think we got everything we do, we try to make it special. But I think we got a nice special interview coming up with Jake Paul for the fans that'll be coming up this week too.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, we got some good stuff.
Yeah, I just want to put it out there so the fans can look forward to it. But this weekend's fights that we're going to report on now, they were really good. I mean, obviously, there's a few sleepers in there, you know. You don't need Sominex when you watch some of these boxing matches. Some of them. But go ahead. I give it to you, Ken. Take it from
we're gonna cover the UFC first, but I forgot to mention that the Saturday morning, part of the reason of being up till 1 put me to sleep is we were up at 7 to watch Triple G get back to action in Japan, and we'll come back to that. But I love Triple G. I love his fighting. But let's start out with the UFC and the fight that maybe might have stolen the show. I mean, according to Dana, there was more hype around Chimaev Burns than there was for the main event, which is, our friend Alex Volkanovski was in action and looked awesome. But to your point, Chimaev got tested, and guess what? As soon as they start the press conference, what does Dana White point out? He points out that Teddy Atlas was tweeting about Chimaev, and that was one of the highlights of the fight. Your tweeting was awesome on Saturday, and it was noticed. I saw multiple postings on the UFC's broadcast of your tweets. It was excellent. You've injected yourself into the MMA community, and they've embraced you, and I love to see it. The voice of MMA is here to stay, and I think that eventually they'll be using that moniker on all the broadcasts. But nevertheless, Chimaev, to your point, got tested, and man, he got tested by one of the best to do it. Gilbert Burns has fought for the title. He lost to the best man in the world, Kamaru Usman. So to see Chimaev in there with a guy who's been in with the best, Chimaev didn't disappoint. He got tested every step of the way, and he won a razor-thin split decision. I don't think anyone would have had a problem if that decision went either way for me. And Chimaev got the split decision win, and he acknowledged that, yeah, he got tested. He was busted up after the fight, just like Burns was, but I'm dying to hear what you thought of this one.
Yeah, proof once again that, as I've always told my children, especially my son, but my daughter and my son, I've always said to them as they're growing up and they're facing different challenges, there are no supermen. There aren't. I mean, you can put on certain TV channels to see them. I get it. But in real life, nobody's got an S on their chest. Nobody. It's just a matter of where is their kryptonite, and when will they meet up with their kryptonite to show they're human. But up to this point, it didn't look like Chimaev was human. I mean, he looked like a mystical figure, Ken, and he was taking on those proportions, which is great. I mean, it's great promotion, and it's great anticipation. It's great for the sport. It's great for the fans. But he was taking on those kind of like Mike Tyson on his way up, like this monster. He's different. He's not human. You can't beat him. He's unbeatable. He's a force of nature. That's what it was. The thinking of was with Chimaev coming up. And this reminded me, the first thing it reminded me of when it got, when he got tested in the fight was that movie Predator. I love to parallel the movies out there with life when it's appropriate. And boy, this one was appropriate, Ken. You'll love this one. Where in the Predator, the first one, where Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they're up against this creature from outer space that, is just like they think you can't, it's killing them all. It's killing them one by one. His group of army people, of trained combat people. And it feels to them like there's nothing they can do. That, this is an unnatural force, creature, and what can you do? It's just picking them off one by one, eliminating them. And then all of a sudden there's this scene where they shoot at him. He escapes through the trees, and he's invisible because he knows how to put on that, that shield that makes him blend in with the environment so you can't see him. But when they start tracking him down, they see a green fluid on the leaves, his blood. and Schwarzenegger looks at his guys and says, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And that, that was their first hope, that they had a chance, that they could defeat this thing. And that kind of sums up this Chimaev Burns fight. When Burns hurt him, he bled. And it's like, oh, if he could bleed, we could beat him. And all of a sudden, he was human. All of a sudden, he's very good, but he's not from another planet. He can be beaten, like anybody, when you eventually get to the right guy. And Burns sure as hell was the right guy to test this guy. And he passed. And, some people are going to say, oh, well, maybe now he's not as good. Yeah, he was always as good. Matter of fact, I think he's going to be better now.
I was going to say to you, I think he gets better now, recognizing he had not really been tested. Now he's been tested by a guy who challenged for the title, and he was tested. He was rocked. I mean, that was as tough a fight as you can be in without losing. It was awesome. So, to your point, I think he only gets better.
No, I think so, Ken. I've seen it in fighters. I've seen it with a great fighter, Sugar Ray Leonard, when he fought Dern. And he lost. He didn't win. He lost. He got tested for the first time in that fight. His great talent. And he got better. If it wasn't for that fight, I don't know if he would have beat Tommy Hearns after that when he fought the first time. I don't. That prepared him for that. And I think the same thing is going to happen with Chimaev, that he's going to get better. And he's going to prepare, whether it's Usman coming down the road, whatever it is. But it's going to prepare him for what is in his future. That's going to be just as tough, if not tougher. It's going to develop him and mature him and propel him to that next place that's in his future. So a lot of people, the mystique was off now. You know, he is human. I get it. But look at how good he is. Look at what he overcame. Look at when he got taken to that place where people never know how they're going to behave till they're there. And he got taken to that place where it's dark. It's a cave. And he went deep into that cave and he found a way out. Not only found a way out, he came out with a lantern with light emanating where he could go into other dark places now. And again, you don't know till you get the answers. You don't know till the questions are asked. And the questions were asked for the first time in his career that we've seen. And he had the answers. He had the answer. He went into that dark place that only special people can go into and are willing to go into and come out of it in the way that he did. Come out of it knowing where you were. Knowing now that you can rely on yourself. Well, you didn't really, you thought you knew, but now it's been cemented. It's been validated. Yeah, you can depend on yourself. Yeah, you can be that monster you want to be. And you know, he always projected that ultimate, that supreme confidence. That saved him. Just like it made Burns. Burns was tremendous. Burns needs all the accolades with it. All the accolades with it. You know, it came down to that last round. It was even going into the third round. It came down to that last round. And you just don't know till you know. And now he showed the thing that pulled him out of, we know about his great talent, his physical talent, but we didn't know for sure about the mental side of it. We know for sure now. We thought we know, but we do know for sure that he is that guy, just like Burns is. But he is that guy. He is that guy he wants to project that he is, that nothing can beat him. You know, that ultimate confidence, you know, almost braggadocious, where, you know, he would talk and say, bring me the next guy, bring me the next guy, you know, and that he believes. And that's the important thing here. That he believes that nobody can beat him. He believes that when he gets taken to that bad place, he'll find what he needs to find. He'll find a way. He'll find a way. That's what the special ones do. He'll find a way. I had a fighter who's undefeated. I'm not going to mention his name right now, but he's undefeated. He called me up a couple, I guess you know about it too, Ken. And he called me up, I guess it was, I don't know, time goes so fast. Maybe it was about a year ago. Maybe it was a little over a year. Maybe it was a year and a half. So, and he was asking me, he was picking my brain. Nice kid, you know. And he's picking my brain. And again, he's one of these kids that are coming up. And he said to me, Teddy, he asked me about different situations. Like, what do you do in this situation from a technical standpoint? Okay, you feint, you step to the side. You know, whatever the technical appropriate answer was, I would give it to him. Or try to give it to him. And then he says, what if, and it was the right question. he goes, and it goes to show you how young fighters are thinking, because they know that day's coming. They know that day's coming, and they want help. They want help. Maybe privately they'll tell you. Now publicly they don't want to. They don't want to blow the cover. You know what I mean? But
of course.
But privately, they're going to ask you. They want to know. So he felt he could ask. So he said, "What if all of those things don't work? Like, what if one day you're in a situation where you prepared and everything, you did everything right, but all of a sudden it's just not working, and you need something else? What do you do then, Teddy?" I said, "That's when you find a way." I said, "That's when the special ones find a way. You find a way, and the special ones do it." And he immediately, to his credit, he said, "That's it. That's the answer. You find a way." I said, "Yes," and that's exactly what Chimaev did. He found a way, and it was really fun to watch, because it validates everything that I know, or that I think I know, that the special ones have that ability to find a way, that belief, that supreme confidence, that will, that mantra, conquer or be conquered. I won't be conquered. I will not be conquered. Just like Volkanovski. I will not be put to sleep. I will not be submitted. I will find a way. And it never becomes old to see it. It never becomes old for me to see it. It's extraordinary. It's an extraordinary capacity of the human spirit. It is. It really is. And it's a reminder. It's a teaching element. It's a teaching moment. And I keep saying this to us, to all of us, to everyone out there. And that's why I bring it to the forefront, or I try to, that it doesn't just get missed as just a good athlete. He was just that he was just born. No, he developed these skills. He mandated these skills. He made himself this way for preparation of the day that was going to come. And that's why I always give these guys credit as teachers, because they teach us. We can go further. You can go further. Just like the guys many years ago when they went across those oceans, and some of them just decided, no, I could go further. No, you might fall off No, I could go further. And that's what these guys are. They're explorers, but they're teachers. They're explorers to new places, but they're also teachers to us, all of us. Yeah. You think you went to your max? No. There's some more there. It was, again, I can't say enough great things about the two of them, and I think Chimaev only gets better, as I already explained, and as I tried to put precedents out there where other people have improved, like Sugar Ray Leonard, when they go through those experiences with those top fighters where they never had to go to those places before. He was just terrific. I can't wait to see the progress from this fight, the effect of this fight on him. That's what I can't wait for now. I'm like the guy in a Broadway play. I'm waiting for the next act. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for the curtain to come up again. I want to see the next act now. Where how much better can this guy get? Where does he go from here?
Did you see too? Dana White said that Gilbert Burns would be pay his not just his show money, but he'd get his win money as well for showing up and putting on the performance he put on. Because let's not forget, Gilbert Burns is the number 2 ranked contender, waiting for a title shot. He could have easily just said, "I'm not going to fight again until I get a title shot." To go for a number 2 guy to say, "I'll fight a number 11 guy," that's what a real that's a special character that's like, yeah, I'm not going to wait around for it. If you want me to fight the number 11 guy, cool, let's do it. Assuming, if he does right, then they're going to do right by him.
That's a real competitor. Ken,
yeah.
You did a good job right there again, Ken, bringing that up. That's a real competitor. That's a guy that it's just about facing the best. He's the best right now, or he's the guy that's there. You're challenging me with him. I'll meet the challenge. He's the guy you're saying is the next best, and he's I won't sit around and posture and wait for my spot. This is what I do. I fight. And what do I fight? I fight the best. And why do I do it? So I can continue getting better. Because this is what I do. This is what I do. And that attitude, we wish it was in everyone. And people say it's in them. They do. They say, yeah, that's me. That's my attitude. But it's not always. And till you see it. And, that old saying, put your money where your mouth is. Burns did that. He showed that.
I'm glad they paid him too, so that other guys can see that example of like, listen, sometimes you got to take a leap of faith, and sometimes you get burned on the financial side, but it's nice to see them come through with the dough for him. And I think this is one of those rare instances where his stock actually went up with a loss.
Yeah,
he's number 2. He's already, what's next? He's going to get a title shot. He's already lost to Usman pretty convincingly. So I mean, was he going to get that next shot? Probably not. Instead, he gets a fight, gets paid to win bonus, even though he didn't win, and he's probably going to get another big fight. I would hope they'd give him a soft touch next, but no, in the UFC, they'll make him fight a lion next.
Oh, I look at it where he's in that position, yeah. He's the gatekeeper. But
Yep.
I look at it like he did what he was supposed to do. I give him all the credit in the world, but you're a fighter, you fight who's there to fight. It's a challenge to you. You want to be the best. He's the next superstar coming up. Everybody said, right? Chimaev, they're giving you that chance. This is what you do. Now listen. There is a line there where if you're set to fight for X amount of millions of dollars and you earned your way to get to say number 1, to get to that, and you're waiting a little period of time to get that title fight. It's you earned the right to get it. There is a business acumen that comes in. Like, yeah, you should wait and get this title fight. You earned it. You got the number 1. You shouldn't take a tune-up, that's for sure. Right now, because those tune-ups can go crooked in a hurry. And we have a history of that in boxing, a history of guys, losing
Ask
millions.
Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, oh my God, losing millions and millions of dollars, when they took a tune-up, when they, instead of, getting to the one that they were in line to get to. But it's different when you're not guaranteed anything. You're not in that position. And you're still forming as a fighter, even though as experienced as Burns is. And that's what you do. You fight. So if a fight is presented to you, especially a challenge like that, you fight. Other than what I just said, other than being in that position where it makes complete logical sense. It's almost illogical to take any other fight than wait for the title fight. When you're in that position, yeah, you earned it. You're not going to get it again, maybe. It's the right thing and the smart thing to do. But again, Burns showed you that he understands what he does for a living. He fights. And when there's a fight presented to him, he goes and fights. So he's the kind of guy like the old-time trainers used to tell me about, the old-time fighters. They would knock the guys today. They're not all like that today, but I'm being honest. I remember some of the old-time managing trainers, the guys that really knew the sport. They would say, back in the day, you had so many good fighters. You made a phone call. The only thing they asked was, okay, where and when? They didn't care who. They, where, when? 3 weeks? Sunnyside Arena? Gotcha. All right. And by the way, who am I fighting? What am I getting? Because that's what came first. Yeah. Yeah, I got to fight. Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I need. Yeah, I'm in. And I'm not saying, look, you're not supposed to have a brain in your head. I'm not saying that. But that attitude. You are supposed to have that attitude. And then, of course, the guy telling me, this old famous guy, then he said, today? Forget it. He said, he just, he's being, he says, today? You call a guy up, he says, how much? How much first? Okay. How much? Who? What's the guy's record? Wait, let me check him out. Hold on. Let me look. Let me check the guy out. Let me make some phone calls. Let me make some phone calls. Let me check my horoscope because I'm not sure if that part of the month is really good for Libra. I don't think it's a Libra month. I don't know. I got to check that one. Might be more towards Sagitt. I don't even know the name of the. I was going to say Sagitt. What is it? How do you pronounce that?
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. Might be more like Sagittarius. I believe. I think it's Sagittarius. It is now.
That's it for Chimaev. Great fight for him. Great win. Let's talk about Aljamain Sterling gets his redemption, even though he was coming off the win. And I've got some thoughts on this. He gets the win over Petr. I feel like Aljamain Sterling got the worst rap ever, and I get it. I get why people are upset, right? Petr, for those who don't know, hit him with a blatant illegal knee in the first fight, in a fight that Jan was beating the brakes off him. I mean, he really had him on the ropes. He was punishing him. Aljo went out hard early in that first fight and emptied the tank, and he couldn't get him out of there. And Petr just started, the beating was just getting progressively worse. He catches him with the knee. I hate the whole thing because it puts Sterling in the position of having to decide if he can go on. He's already getting beat up. Now he's got probably a concussion from a knee. It put him in a very bad position. So he says he can't go. He gets the title because of the disqualification. He gets dragged all over the internet. He doesn't really handle it the best way. He basically is forced into being to use a wrestling term, to being the heel. People turn on him quickly. Coming into that fight, he was on a 5-fight winning streak, and I thought he couldn't be beat. And going up against Jan, I thought, okay, Sterling's going to give it to him. And in the first round, I thought maybe he was better. And it just the whole thing, I feel like Sterling's reputation just got smashed in that first fight. So fast forward 14 months later, he has neck surgery. I think he was really injured and had some serious ailments going into the fight. Whatever. No one cares about the excuses. You know it. But at the end of the day, he's basically the bad guy. They're booing him in Jacksonville and rooting and screaming and cheering for the Russian fighter. And I just felt bad for Sterling. It was a horrible position. Like I said, I don't think he handled everything the right way, but I still like Aljamain Sterling. He's a Long Island guy. He's with Matt Serra and Ray Longo, two of the classiest guys in the sport. And like I said, I think it was a little misplaced, the criticism of Sterling. Nevertheless, he comes back and he gets the redemption. He gets another razor-thin decision, split decision win for Aljamain Sterling. Very emotional after the fight. I couldn't have been happier for him. And to Jan's credit, he was like, okay, onward and upward. I'll be back. It is what it is. I thought I won the fight, but that's the breaks. Next. So how'd you like that one? What'd you think?
That's a good way to set it up, because I always say that one of the most powerful things, emotions, elements, X factors, it becomes an X factor that you can have coming into a fight is redemption. And you could see it, that he was more determined than ever to prove himself. And for the reason you just laid out there, real reasons, to prove. And listen, I always say both sides of the coin. There have been guys that have been in that position and they said, no, I'm not taking the title. There have been.
Anthony Smith.
Yeah, Anthony Smith, I was going to say him. Anthony Smith is right there, the Lionheart. And Gennady Hernandez in boxing. There's other ones too, but Gennady Hernandez years ago, he was a champion. He was fighting. I'm trying to remember, great fighter. They call him the Professor, from Africa. You've had some great fighters from that area in Africa, and he was one of them. What the heck was his name? You could look it up on your computer. I don't do computers. What the heck is his name? Great fighter. He was the great Salvador Sanchez's last opponent before Sanchez wound up getting killed in a car accident. The great Mexican fighter. Great fighter. Salvador Sanchez's last fight before he passed away way too early.
Azuma Nelson?
Yeah, of course, Azuma Nelson. So Azuma Nelson, I'm getting old, Ken. I'm getting old, kid. Getting a little old. So he's fighting Azuma Nelson, and
from Ghana.
Yeah, from Ghana. Ghana had some unbelievable champions from there. Azuma Nelson's the best known one. They had Corte. They had a few of them.
I Corte, yeah.
Yeah. So now, anyway, in the fight, he gets, I believe what happens, he gets hit after the bell. And I think that's what happens. You'll probably find it as I'm talking about it. It doesn't really matter. Azuma Nelson did something illegal. I think it was after the bell, whatever. And I'm not knocking Azuma Nelson because he was a great fighter. But he catches him in a way that is deemed illegal. And Hernandez is given the option. Either you can take the title right now, just take the title, we'll disqualify Azuma Nelson, you're the champion, or we'll give you time to rest and you can fight again. You can fight. So he said, no, I'm not winning the title that way. I'll take the rest and I'll finish the fight. And he won the title that way. So I understand both sides of it. I do. But I also understand that Sterling was put in a very difficult situation because, he was hurt. He was hurt by that blow. And, and it was an illegal blow. So he gets the title. It's a paper title. It means nothing. He knew that it meant nothing. See, that's the thing about, what he had going for him. He knew it was a hollow title. He knew that the only way he could make it a real title was to go in there, fight the guy again, and beat the guy. And he did. And give him all the credit. Give him all the credit in the world for doing that. I mean, and you could see that extra, if you will, that extra determination, on his, just in his demeanor. You could see it. And listen, the first fight helped him in the action that, I'll tell you how it helped him. Because he knew what to stay away from. He knew what to be more cognizant of. He knew what to be more aware. And he knew he had to have his environment. He had to have, as I always say, his geography. And that geography was on the mat. He knew it. He knew it. He knew that. So he got his geography. He was determined to get it. He got it. The first round was very interesting. It turned out to be a very important round because of the scores. A lot of people didn't know who won. Now, I thought that Jan won that first round. I'll tell you why. Wasn't anything in the round that really was extraordinary, obviously. There was very little done. You could say there was posturing. But what really was happening on one side, Jan was pushing it, forward, being aggressive, being a boss, if you will, having the guns loaded, his hands, looking to see if maybe he could push him backwards, catch him something. He was looking, but nothing definitive happened. Nothing, really. And then Jan, on the other hand, was using his legs, purveying the cage, surveying, looking around, keep making sure he survived anything bad, not giving him anything, and moving around the cage, looking for an opportunity, looking for the right play, like taking pictures And then you're going to look at those pictures, kind of like they do in the NFL. They take pictures, and then you go sit on the bench as the quarterback, and you see, that defensive back he was back too far. I could get something underneath. Yeah, or the Army taking aerial pictures. Okay, we see behind their lines where there's a weakness. We could bomb, we could attack, we could move our tanks in to those areas. And to me, that's what Jan was doing. He was moving around, he was taking pictures, seeing where he could get. And then he thought he saw something. The second round, now, again, I thought Jan won the, Sterling is the one who moved around, took pictures, not Jan. Now, I thought that Jan won the first round because there wasn't much done, but you got to find something. And he had ring generalship. He was controlling the ring a little bit, being a little aggressive. So I gave it to him because of that. And the second round, you had Sterling, again, waiting for a mistake. He needed a mistake so he could get cleanly in to where he wanted to get, shoot in and get his legs and get him on the mat. And all of a sudden, it came. Maybe those pictures helped him, but it came. All of a sudden, Jan made a mistake. Bang! Sterling was in. He was on the floor with him, and he kept him there. He dominated him. See, this is where it gets tricky, too. Maybe that was a 10-8 round. I don't know. But he dominated him, and he made him use a lot of the gas in his tank to survive, he being Jan. And he had him in that body triangle on his back where he's like suffocating him with his legs and squeezing, and Jan had no answer for it. And that's like Aljamain's bread and butter, is taking the back and getting that body lock. So congratulations or credit to Jan for being able to survive having that animal on your back going for a choke for like 4 whole minutes. It seemed like 2 rounds in a row. And it used up a lot of his petrol. But to his credit, as you said, so he loses that. He goes on. He loses that round, and he gets back. The second round, again, Sterling gets his environment, gets his geography, where he's better suited, on the floor, on the mat, where he's keeping Jan out of the striking game, out of his strengths, and he, again, controls that round. So there's no doubt that it's right now, I think, 2-1 for Sterling.
Definitely.
I 2-1. But then, to his credit, as you just said, Jan, even after using all that gasoline, he comes back, and I think he wins the 4th, and then it's up to the 5th, and the 5th was close. There's no doubt about it.
Very.
It was close. I thought he won it. He squeaked it out. So I thought Jan had the win as I just described it, 3-2. But I don't dispute. I don't have an argument. I have no problem with Sterling getting it. A, it was that close, and B, maybe the second round. I didn't look at the scores, Ken. You could tell me. I wonder if one of those judges made it a 10-8 in the second round. I was curious of that, if they did. Because that would for me, that would explain it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm checking now. I don't think that there was a 10-8 round. I think 2 of the judges just had one of those, like 1, 3, 1, 4, and 5. Because second and third round were clearly all Aljamain. He held him down. I'm looking for the scorecards. Give me a second.
Of course. That's what I said.
All right, the judges. Sal D'Amato had it 48-47 for Sterling. He gave Sterling 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, so the judges and the third judge had 48-47. So the 2 judges that had it for Sterling, 48-47, all gave Sterling 1, 2, and 3, and they gave Jan, and all the judges gave Jan 4 and 5. So one judge had it like you for Jan in the first round, but the other 2 had first round for.
No, listen, that's I
Sterling.
get it. There's a subjective part to this. The judging, I like the criterion in boxing and MMA to be just a little more clearer, a little bit more stringent, I guess is the word. But look, the only thing I add to it, I have no problem, as I said already, with Sterling getting. I thought that in finishing up my analysis, I would say that, and they should look at this on tape, that Jan missed his opportunities, I thought, in the 5th round when Sterling, it was obvious he was shooting for his legs and he was giving it away a little bit. Maybe he was getting a little tired. He worked awful hard. And he was starting to lean a little bit, Ken. He was starting to, telegraph the shoot. And I just thought that was a perfect opportunity that Jan missed to counter him. To counter him with an uppercut, to catch him anything, a straight, right hand or an uppercut, whatever. But to counter him as he was vulnerable in that position shooting forward. And he missed I thought he missed his opportunity for that. And you know what? It made me think. I see a lot of guys in the MMA and UFC, of course, we're talking about, that they missed that opportunity. And I would think they'd be more prepared for that. The only one who I saw, because when guys are going, when their thing is to get you on the mat, you know what they're doing. Masvidal did an unbelievable job with it against Askren. He knew he was going to go for it, but instead of a punch, he hit him with a knee. But he planned it. He knew he was smart. He knew that he was going to get that, and he got it, and he could get it. He could set it up to get it, and he was prepared. And to his credit, he capitalized on it. I see a lot of guys in the MMA. Their strength is to get on the floor, on the mat, so they're going to shoot, and the other guy doesn't take advantage where I think he should to try to time him as he's going to lean a little bit, to grab his legs, time him with an uppercut. The only one I ever saw do it was Lewis.
Yeah, yep, Derek Lewis.
Yeah, he, the big puncher, I remember he timed, if my memory's correct, he timed Blades, I believe, with an uppercut, and it was a devastating knockout. And I think it was a come-from-behind knockout, actually. But Blades felt he was better, I guess, on the mat, where he had a advantage there. So he went to take him to the mat rather than stand up and strike. And as he did, again, Lewis, I think that's what saved the fight for him. Timed him with an uppercut and just put him to sleep. I don't know if we have that there, if you could look at it, but that just to verify that for me. But that's what I remember. I know Lewis knocked somebody out with an uppercut in that kind of situation. I thought it was, am I saying his name right? Blades?
Curtis Blades. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one, but we could probably find it after the fact and have it.
Maybe later on.
Put the clip up.
Yeah, we'll get the clip up. Rob will get the clip up for us. But that was, I just got it from our great producer. He said I was right. It's good to be right. It's good to be right. Nice to be right, Ken. Every once in a while. Sometimes when you live in a household with a lot of family, a lot of people, and you're blessed, you're very blessed. You're not right a lot. You're not right. You're very blessed. You're very blessed with the love of your daughter and your wife and your grandchildren and your son-in-law and everybody there. But you're not always right a lot. But it's good to be on the right side, as my friend Mike Kenny would say. It's good to be on the right side. So that was a tightly contested, really tightly contested match. Really was.
Yeah, it was an excellent fight. I mean, all the fights were excellent. And that brings us to the main event. Our friend from down under, Alex Volkanovski, man, did he put it on the Korean Zombie. And the Zombie is a perfect name for the Korean Zombie because he just kept walking forward, taking punishment. And this was an example I tweeted out. They should give Herb Dean a bonus because the refs, they have a thankless job. If they do a great job, no one even knows they were there. If they do a bad job, they steal the show. Everyone knows who they were. But in this case, I thought that Herb Dean was a perfect stoppage, and you don't really see it that much in MMA. Not as much as in boxing, I don't think. More so when the prospects coming up, the ref is quick to jump in there when you've got a prospect beating up an opponent. But when you have two title contenders, they tend to let that go a little bit longer because both guys are very competent. They know what they're doing. They're in there. But man, Herb Dean stepped in right at the right time because that Zombie wouldn't have stopped. Volkanovski would have had to kill him, and he almost did. Alex looked incredible. I'm happy for him. He looked so good. Zombie just it was levels better. I don't think if they fought 10 times, he'd beat him 10 times. How'd you like the way Alex looked in that one?
Oh, forget about it. Forget about it. As we like to say over here in Brooklyn and Staten Island. Forget about it. Listen, Ken, that was a clinic. He put on a clinic. We know how tough Volkanovski is. Obviously, he's a Zombie too. But we know how tough the Zombie. I say he's one of those guys that's too game for his own good, because he's the guy that does have to have a corner, does have to have somebody looking out for him, a referee, whatever, because he will not stop. He will not look out for himself because he's. And we got a lot of them in the UFC and in boxing, but that's the kind of guys they are. Those real gladiators, those real warriors, those real samurai. They ain't looking out for themselves. They ain't getting out. They ain't pulling that zip cord. You know what I mean? They're not doing that. And thank God, as you said, rightfully so, that the referee was there to do the right thing. But the first thing I got to say is I tweeted out, I'm sorry. I text too, by the way. I tweeted out, and I want to thank Ian. You say his last name, I always forget.
Ian Mackey.
Yeah, Ian Mackey. He's just a good man. He's a brilliant man at what he does. I know that. He's one of those really special people that have reached a special level of eliteness in what they do. And he's a friend of Rob's. And Rob had to go to a wedding, which, I was like, you really, okay, all right, because, all right.
Your friend had to get married on such a busy fight weekend.
I mean, come on, we can't work around this. Doesn't he understand? So that you send my tweets out, I write them, I send them to you, and you put them up. All right, we have a process, right? We got a thing here. So Ian stepped in, which Ian, am I pronouncing it right? Ian has done before. So Ian stepped in again. I've thanked him before. I thank him again. You're the best. You stepped in there for Rob, and I appreciate both of you for what you guys do to get my tweets up. I said before the fight, the Korean Zombie has a lot of miles on his odometer. Just be aware of that. Be aware of that. And then I also said, and Volkanovski's going to take him on the highway. he's going to see if he can bust his cylinder. And he busted a cylinder. And it's that simple. The Korean Zombie he's given us so much pleasure. He's given the fight fans, the MMA fans, so much to cheer about, to enjoy, to see in fights. I think that time comes for everybody. I think that time has come to go out the door. As a proud man that he's been, because he looked like a guy who's probably taken too much. He's at that point now where, on top of that, he's very one-dimensional. He's just too easy to hit. He's just too easy to hit at this point in his career. Maybe he was before, but he can handle it better. And Volkanovski did a magnificent job of what he should have done, counterpunching. He put a clinic of jabbing and counterpunching, because that's what what the doctor called for, so to speak, in this fight. Use your jab. The guy's right in front of you. He's taller than you, but he's right in front of you. He doesn't move his head. Use the jab and set traps, walk him into counters. And oh my goodness, that's what he did. He counted the heck out of him. He hurt him several times, and then finally hurt him where the referee had to step in, where he was gone. But just a clinic. I mean, calm, deliberate, the mental side, the physical side, knowing what he had in front of him, Volkanovski, and the plan, the perfect plan of just what to do with this particular opponent. And then the execution, the consistency, the steadiness of that plan all night, never wavering off of that plan, staying calm and controlled, cool as a cucumber. This guy's got it all. This guy is one of the most well-rounded fighters in the UFC. He can do anything, go to the mat, stand, anything, and he's his own zombie. What do I mean by that? Well, he was a zombie in his last fight where he was being put into that state of being a zombie, and he just refused to be put in that state. He refused to be put in. He found a way. He was Houdini and more. I mean, he found a way to escape. When he was in that triangle, well, the first hold, I think, was the guillotine. Then he was in the then he was in the triangle, and he escaped. He escaped, both. Just extraordinary. So he's got the stuff we talk about, that special stuff when you go to those dark places. Yeah, he's got the lights. He's got the lights when you go to those dark places. He's got the mental, the physical, the technical. He's got everything. And for me, he has to be considered. Ken, tell me if you back me with this. He's got to be, boxing loves to talk about the pound for pound list. He's got to be on the pound for pound best list in the UFC. I would say in the top 3. I would say, do you agree with that? I would say
100%.
Yeah, he's got to be. He's got to be.
I'm just trying to see who his won losses to. He has a loss. I don't even think it was in the UFC. Corey Nelson. Yeah, Corey Nelson. It was his 4th fight. Since then, he's been a wrecking ball. Hang on, let me see how many fights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 22 wins in a row. 22 wins in a row. That's insane. And you know what? He was in wars with he was in a war, obviously, with Ortega. We thought he was out twice, but he also had 2 wars in a row with Max Holloway. Both fights could have gone either way. This is the kind of guy, though, like you said, he can't be rattled. That Brian Ortega, when Brian Ortega didn't get that second triangle choke, which wasn't as dangerous in hindsight as that first mounted guillotine, you could just see the air go out of the balloon for Ortega, and it was just a one-way street after that of Volkanovski. He's like you said, he's a zombie. Once he gets into the mindset, like, you can't kill him. Literally, he was getting choked on that mounted guillotine. He just outlasted Ortega.
You need silver bullets. Go ahead.
He outlasted Ortega. I watched it again the other day. Ortega finally, his arms just burnt out, and he let the choke go as Alex was on the ground, just bucking and kicking and trying anything possible to get out of there. But he was being like, he told us on the show, the light started to flicker. He's like about to go out, but he just didn't give up. And he lasted just a second longer than Ortega lasted in trying to hold the choke. The guy's awesome. I mean, and he's like one of the classiest guys. Doesn't he remind you of a guy who like lives down the street from you, who you're like, my car's busted or my roof caved in. Oh, call Alex for everything. He's like just a guy. He can do everything. He'll come and help you fight someone. He'll fix your car. He'll put a new roof on your house. He'll join you in the rugby game to play the neighbors. He'd definitely in a power shortage bring a generator. For sure. I see him on Instagram. He's cooking meat. He's working around the house. He's just like, when we did the interview with him, he's just like sitting Indian style on his couch like, hey, what's up, guys? He's just.
Now, if there's ever a blackout in your neighborhood and the lights are starting to go out, just call him up. He's got a generator. He's got a couple of them. He's got like 6 of them. I mean,
such a classy guy.
Oh, my God. He was on our show. People that didn't see that interview, you should go see it. It was good. It was good.
And Rob just reminded me, he said he's happy to fight Holloway a third time because, candidly, if Holloway probably deserves it.
And how many guys would do that? Holloway does deserve it. But how many guys would risk themselves like that? Because Holloway, man, oh, man. I mean, you see this paper? You see how thin this paper is? That's how thin the difference is between him and Holloway when they fight.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So there's no space. There's a fit right into the space that separates those two. So to take a chance and fight that guy, a lot of guys would say I beat him twice. Even though I thought Holloway
it would have been completely justified.
I thought Holloway won. I think it was the last one. I thought Holloway did, but taking nothing away from either one of them. We love both. Holloway's been on our show. We love them both. We appreciate them both. We admire them both to the highest places. But I think Holloway does deserve it, and I give credit again to Volkanovski for being willing to give it to him, because that just validates all the accolades and kudos that we're throwing at these guys and him, that he's willing to go and fight the best. He's willing again, what he could get out of it. He's willing to just say no, just like you talked about Burns, willing to fight this monster that was coming up, that we didn't know how good he was. He was scary good from what we had seen in Chimaev. And same thing. But that is consistent with these special guys. That to have that attitude, that warrior's mentality, that, I'll fight him. I'll fight him. And
it's just so refreshing to see that, and then in some way to have some connectivity, to have had them on the show. I just came away from that, even as we're talking about it now. It gives you just a good feeling of being associated with good people. Like, even if the decision hadn't gone their way, you're just like, man, that guy, he's a good guy. He's been on the show. He just goes out there and does his job. Win, lose, or draw, just do your job. They show up, they put it on the line. Man, it's just such a noble profession.
That's something that's lost today sometimes. I think it is sometimes. That could be the greatest compliment in the world. Just do your job. You know what I mean? I might add one word, but it's okay. Do your freaking job. But again, that speaks to it. That's really, go do your job. You know what I mean? Stop with the excuses. You know what I mean? Stop with the alibis. Stop with all this nonsense, please. We got enough problems in this world. We got enough stuff swirling around. You haven't noticed? Just do your freaking job. God.
Yep. Well, that was congratulations to Alex. Awesome. Look forward to speaking with him again. But let's jump over to Japan. Early Saturday morning, we were both up bright and early to see Triple G in action. One of my favorite fighters in the world. I love this guy. And early on, I thought, and as always, we never talk about the fights before we get on here, so I'm curious to hear what you think about how Triple G looked early on. He was over there with our friend Chris Camacho, the great strength and conditioning coach. But I thought Triple G looked almost too easy to hit early in that fight. He did
not almost. He was. He was.
Yeah. Yeah, he was getting hit a lot, and the only thing the
only thing good for him in the end was the other guy was even easier to hit.
and couldn't absorb him the way Triple G could. But the only thing I could think, and look, he's been in camp 3 times. He's been off for over a year. He's been through, trials and tribulations, just trying to get a fight scheduled. And Yeah, he was getting cracked early, and all I could think was, man, if he takes these early shots against Canelo, I don't know that he like absorbs them the way he's doing Murata. Not that Murata can't crack, but once Triple G did start to turn the pressure, the minute the momentum shifted to Triple G, it was just like a one-way ticket downhill, a rock rolling downhill. He just started pouring it on. My God, he was just giving him shots from everywhere, and Murata ate a lot of them. And then Triple G is just such a classy guy. Afterwards, he gave him the beautiful robe that he wears, the Kazakhstan robe, and went into the locker room, take pictures. He's just a good guy, I think, and so when people give him crap about the whole Canelo thing, I think he was genuinely offended with the PED allegations, and then the fact that Canelo was trying to gaslight Triple G. Like, how dare you say I did drugs? Like, dude, you got suspended for using drugs and upended the whole fight. Like, of course I'm mad. Don't be mad at me. Of course I'm mad.
No. Calm down, Ken. He was eating Whoppers in a burger joint in Mexico.
Yeah, it's just crazy that then
I don't know.
He's like,
and you heard about these Whoppers that sometimes they call it the super sauce. They got the super sauce,
the clenbuterol burger.
The super
but it's
sauce.
just funny that he's like, he make Canelo, and I like Canelo too, but he tries to make Triple G the bad guy for being upset that the guy was using drugs. Like, come on, dude. If you weren't doing drugs, prove it in court. But the drug test says you were doing drugs, and you're the golden goose. If you weren't doing that, there's no way that anyone would even mention it if it wasn't dead. Anyway, I digress. But Triple G, like I said, once he got his engine revving, maybe in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, he started to look really good. Maybe a bit flashes of the old Triple G. But I'm curious to see. I'm curious to hear what you thought and what you think about a potential Canelo rematch number 3.
All right, let's take one thing at a time, please. Throwing a lot of stuff at me, Mr. Rideout.
I get excited.
No, it's good. That's good. We need enthusiasm. Very important. Enthusiasm. That's what Robert De Niro said when in The Untouchables, when he was playing a guy named Capone. Enthusiasm. Very important. Team play, very important. Individualism, no good. So, and I know a lot of people that there's too much individualism. We don't have that. I thought that early was interesting. The first round, Triple G came out there and he won the first round, not always in a typical Triple G engaging, go and get you kind of way, seek and destroy kind of way. He did it a little bit like he did the second Canelo fight, where I thought he won both fights. I think everyone knows that. I thought he won, and differently. The first fight, I thought he beat Canelo going and getting him, and the second one, I thought he beat him using his jab. And that, in some ways, might have been sort of a testament to his maybe an acknowledgement that he is 40 now, that he wanted to come out and use his jab more, as he did after the first Canelo fight. In the second fight, where he was a little older, he used the jab much more. Well, he did that in the first round, but it didn't last long. But he won the first round that way. Then Murata, the very game Murata, went and attacked him. And he put a lot of pressure on him. He went to the body. He wound up hurting Triple G to the body. He went to the body. He was throwing a lot of punches. And it really did look like, for a moment there, that Triple G was in a hell of a lot of trouble. It didn't look like he was. He got himself out of it, but he was in a lot of trouble. It almost looked like he was going to be dominated if something didn't change. And then something changed. He landed a big punch. But to his credit, Triple G, early it did look like what the old timers would say, where the guy gets old one night. He just gets old. It looked that way. But I'm going to throw in a little bit of something. Not an excuse, but I think it's a fair thing to throw in there. And it's to your point, Ken, where, see, I listen when you talk, where you talked about early on, where he was having trouble. how much of that maybe is 40? He's 40 years old. But how much of it is that he was off for 14 months? You know, and I know Murata was off for even longer, but Murata is a little younger. But Triple G, maybe it took a little while to get the engine running, to get into gear. And it looked that way. His breathing looked
and also, don't forget, he was only over there for, I think, 7 to 8 days prior, and I would argue that you probably need a day per hour of time difference, and he was close to like probably 20-hour time difference from where he was coming. He was fighting the equivalent of early Saturday morning when I don't think he went over there long enough personally, but who am I?
No, I mean, listen,
so
and
I think
if that's the case,
especially
he
for an older
overcame
guy.
it. And if that's the case, he overcame it, which is what great fighters do.
Yep.
And I agree. I thought I would have wanted him to be there longer. But at the end of the day, nobody cares he won. And that's all that matters. But I would say that that's fair to say that maybe the 14 months off, not 14 months, year and 4 months, I'm sorry, a year and 14 months off.
16 months.
Yeah, 16 months. That had a little to do with it. Also, Murata just jumped on him, got on him, didn't give him a chance to acclimate, if you will, to being back in the ring after 16 months, after a year and 4 months. So I think that was all there at play. But his experience, his heart, the great heart that champions have, that hasn't gone away. I mean, maybe some of his skills have been diminished, but it reminded me early of the Thriller in Manila, Ali Frazier, and I'll tell you why, Ken. Because in that fight, you had two older fighters, two fighters that had a lot of miles on the odometer, put it that way. That definitely, if you're going to be honest about it, they were diminished physically. They were diminished. They weren't as good. Their skills weren't as good as they used to be. But one thing that wasn't diminished, their championship heart, their character. The character wasn't diminished. And that's what made for a great fight, because they were easier to hit, and that happens with fighters that are past their prime. They're easier to hit, and it becomes a great fight because the one thing that is still strong is their will and their character. That didn't get old. And I saw some of that, I thought, where at that moment where it looked like he got old, it looked like he was diminished, but the championship heart of Triple G was still there. And he found a way. And he got himself into gear. And early on, it looked like his breathing, physically, everything was belabored a little bit. And maybe for all the reasons I just said, that, you know, that the car had been sitting in the garage too long, and it was going to take a while before the oil got circulating through the cylinders. You know what I mean? And you could almost see it. You could almost see it. Where, okay, the oil's starting to circulate in the cylinders a little bit now, you know, and the gears are changing. Now he's changing the gears, and I'm watching, and that's how I'm seeing it. And once those gears started changing, Murata was in a lot of trouble. But for the first 5 rounds, I think it was 4 or 5 rounds, whatever it was, I'll tell you, it looked like the guy in trouble was Triple G. Again, it looked like he was going to be dominated for a second there. And anyone who disagrees, I don't know what you're watching. You know, take a cold hand towel and wipe your eyes. You know, and take another glance at it. He got to where he needed to get to. He got the cylinders going. They started hitting. And he got a rhythm. He started using not just his toughness, his experience, his great experience, timing shots, throwing the right shots, selecting the right shots at the right time. One thing that he did was he noticed that Murata had the earmuffs on. That's what I call it. And the peekaboo, had the hands up, and he's not moving his head. So he started aiming the punches behind the gloves, where it would land behind the ear of Murata. It's very smart. Experience. That's what he showed me. He started placing the punches in the right place, where the opening was instead of where the opening wasn't. And he found the opening. And then he went to the body. And listen, Murata did an unbelievable job hurting him to the body, hurting Triple G to unbelievable. But then Triple G, he returned the favor. And and he started putting water in the basement. And like I said, he's using his experience, his guile, not just his physicality, to place punches. But here's the whole fight, Ken, at the end of the day for me. And nobody just got to the point with this. But I will. And I said it at the top of this. And I'll say it now and explain it in depth. Murata's just too damn easy to hit. Somebody need to teach that boy. You got to move your head once in a while. It reminded me when I was like an 18-year-old kid with Customato, and I was still fighting at the time. And I'm sparring, and I'm in the gym sparring, and Cuz says to me, "Hey, Alice, if you don't move your head, he will move it for you." I was like, yeah, you're right. He has been moving it for me the last few rounds. You're right about that, Cuz. Maybe I'll start moving it. So that's exactly what I thought when I saw this fight. Hey, Murata, we love you. You're a game son of a gun. You're a real fighter, real champion at heart. But if you don't move your head, Triple G is going to move it for you. And he moved it for him. And
I'd say,
and it was just too predictable, too one-dimensional. Triple G had little other dimensions. And, again, just too damn easy to hit. And he broke him down. And at the end, I always talk about science, the sweet science. It always shows up somewhere. In the end, yeah, he was this, he was that. Triple G was better in this area, that area, perseverance area, all of that. But the sweet science, the experience, the cerebralness of it, the last punch that ended the fight, it was the perfect punch because it was calm enough and he was smart enough to know that. Where Murata broke one of the golden rules I always talk about. And it still gets me nuts that trainers don't teach this and that their fighters still make this mistake sometimes. But you should never lead with a left hook in front of your opponent. Because if the guy times you with a right hand, guess what? The right hand's getting there first because it's straight. Straight line beats a round line. You should have learned that in geometry class somewhere in school. And that's what happened. That's why the commentators never said that. They just said, it was obvious. He caught him a hell of a right hand, and he, the towel got thrown in, rightfully so, because he was really hurt. But he hit on that right hand perfect because he noticed that Murata was starting to throw a left hook in front. So he beat him with the right hand. He timed him with the right hand. That's what he did. And that's why he's got all the belts that he's got from Murata himself now. And that's why he won the fight. And the last thing I add to it in the last round, I was also thinking, I wonder if you will, Ken, but after the way Triple G dominated, it was the 9th round, I believe. After the way he dominated the first half of the round, I mean, just hit him from one side of the ring to the other. And the way he was dominating, and then all of a sudden Murata came back. And Murata was coming back like he was going to completely turn this around. Like he came back from, he really came back from the edge of hell. And he comes back and he starts pummeling Triple G. And I was starting to think, oh my God, is this going to be a replay of Gatti Ward, that first fight, the 9th round? Is this going to be like a replay of that? Are they going to mimic that round? And it looked like it. And then the right hand, again, the perfect right hand while he was leading with a left hook in front, that just stopped the music. I mean, that stopped the music like, somebody pulled the cord out of the plug, and that was it. And at the end of the day, I know the questions the fans have for me out there. What about Canelo now? What about Canelo now? Listen, I give Triple G all the credit, his team. He was ready. At the end, he got done what had to be done. But let's always put this in proper perspective. He beat a guy, very game guy, champion, gold medalist from the Olympics. I called his fights in Olympics for NBC. But he beat a guy that he was supposed to beat. Other than a question mark hovering over this fight of what Triple G would have left, what Triple G would show up, which one would show up. We never saw a 40-year-old Triple G before. Never. So who would get in that ring? Other than that being a question mark and, the one thing that was, if you want, the X factor, he's supposed to beat the guy and probably supposed to stop him. Triple G of old is supposed to stop him. And it's funny, it's a play on words, because it was the Triple G of old. But not the old I'm talking about, of old before he got old. He's supposed to stop him. But we didn't know, again, which one we were going to get in Triple G. And it gave a scare. The addition that we got early, maybe for the reasons I pointed out, whatever, you got a real scare. But in the end, Triple G was a class above. Triple G still has something. What does he have? To what level does he have? With a guy who's a little different than Murata, a lot different than Murata. A guy that's not as easy to hit. A guy who hits harder. A guy who's playing now on a special level. Who's ultimately confident. He's at his prime. What will this Triple G, that's the question, the $1 million question. What will this Triple G do now that he's older? We got a sampling of that. He's older. He's put plenty of miles on that odometer. And a lot of those miles were from those 2 Canelo fights. But he got done the job. And I applaud him, especially at 40 years of age. And I think I laid it out good in the analysis of the fight, all the things he did. But you can't escape a couple of facts. He's 40 years old. Early on, he did struggle, maybe because he didn't have enough time to acclimate, maybe because he'd been off for 1 year and 4 months, or maybe because he's 40, or maybe a combination of all those things. But whatever, early on and late, he's going to have a hell of a job on his hands. He's going to have a handful with this version of Canelo now. A Canelo that believes he'll beat Triple G. I'm not so sure Canelo was as sure the first time he met him, but he is now. He probably believes that he'll dominate him. And another X factor, I can't believe that Canelo will ever fight him at 160 pounds. Not this Canelo. This Canelo is a chiseled body that, for whatever reasons, because he's lifting weights, whatever. This guy is he's a slab of concrete. This guy is a thick, light heavyweight now. He ain't coming back down at 160 without hurting himself. So Triple G, and he's still the golden goose. So Triple G will have to go up, I would guess, at least to 168 to make this fight happen. And so you got that against him too. I think, and again, I know the fans wanted to hear it. And I know they don't like what they hear in some of them. I get it. Let me ask you a question, you great fans, right? You're a fan, you're a fanatic, right? That's the short, fan is short for fanatic. You're a fanatic, you love your guy, your team, your guy, whatever it is. But does it mean that you can't sometimes look at logic? Does it also mean that that if somebody's saying something logical to you, even though it's against your guy, not against him, but it's pointing out something related to your guy, okay? Is logic not allowed? Is that in the rule book of being a fan? That logic is not allowed? I think it is in the rule book. You got to look that up for me, Ken. That logic is not allowed into play when it comes to being a fan. It's not. It's not allowed in the arena. It's not allowed in the room. It's not allowed in the thought process. So I just think that logically, Canelo's going to be a favorite. There's a reason why he's going to be a favorite. I love Triple G. And he was on. We just did a great interview with him. That's up there if people want to see it. And I was very happy he won this fight. And Fred Sternberg, his PR man, great job. Camacho, his strength coach, did a great job. They all did. All of them. Jonathan Banks, great job. Everybody. But this is... I'd be concerned about him fighting. And look, I know it's a huge payday. I also know that he earned it. But I also know that, thank God, he doesn't need it. I'm not saying anybody can use a lot of extra money, but he's made a lot of money, Triple G. Oh, yeah. Rightfully so. A lot of money. So he doesn't need it. He needs it for other reasons, for his own personal legacy, his redemption, he thinks, maybe, to get it right after he was wronged. And I think he was wronged. But to make it right, and this is the only way to make it right, he doesn't need it for his legacy. His legacy is cemented. It's great. It's tremendous. But I just think that, is it worth the risk? And I guess it is. Because at the end of the day, no matter how long or how short you live, no matter how long or short, you want to live the life that you wanted, that you controlled, that was the life of your choice, that you took the risk you wanted, you did the things you wanted to do to be comfortable with that life. When it starts to come down that road, that everyone's life comes down that final road, that you want to know you did everything you wanted to do the way you wanted to do it. And if this is what he wants to do, he deserves the opportunity to do that. I don't take that away from him. I get it. I'm just saying, if I was a betting man, I would say that everything seems to really favor Canelo for all the reasons I just pointed out in this trilogy fight, if it happens.
Yep, I'm with you. I would almost, Canelo is the golden goose, but I would almost insist on the lower weight to the extent that Triple G could get him to agree to that. But like you said, I mean, he's going up to fight Bivol. If he wins that, he's probably got his sights on Beterbiev or whatever the case may be. Why I don't see him coming back down, certainly below 168. Not only do I don't think he's motivated, it doesn't even seem feasible that he could take 15 pounds of muscle off. To your point, he's like a brick shithouse at that weight. He's not like, there's nothing extra there. But with that being said, we could talk about this topic all day long. Let's do some quick hits because there were some other topics and some other fights that we want to cover. None of them deserve the coverage that we just gave to the UFC. And
I want to say one other thing before we move on. The only thing greater, and you touched on it, but I want to touch on it real quick. The only thing greater than Triple G's performance in the ring in the end was, again, his magnificent class and character in what he did. You know, both of them, great class, both fighters. But we're talking about Triple G and going and giving him his robe and then visiting his locker room, which we saw in video later, visiting his locker room, knocking on the door and going in there and handing the belt that he won in the ring, giving it back to Murata. Now, so people understand, because, you know, I do know how that works. Triple G will get, a lot of people thought, oh my God, he gave him his belt. You know, yeah, but he'll get it back because he'll get his own belt. He gave that to him and he'll have it, but the organization will send another belt to Triple G. But still, I just want to make sure, if you're going to say something say it with all the facts so people understand something they might not have understood, and they wouldn't have a reason to understand. They're not in that part of the business. But again, to his credit, to knock on the door and come there humbly, the way he came there and just say, here, Murata, this is your belt for life. That was magnificent. That was just every bit, for me, as magnificent as the straight right hand that he threw at the end there to end the fight.
And when he went in there, Murata still had the robe on, that the Triple G robe that he gave him. And for those who don't understand, when you're the champion, you get your own belt with your picture on the belt. And when you fight a challenger, that belt comes to the ring. If the new champion, if you lose, the new guy gets to hold the belt in the ring and walk out of the ring with it, and then they give it back to you, and then the organization, to your point, Teddy, will send the new champion a new belt with his picture on it, customized for that champion, typically with the name and everything engraved. So just so everyone's on the same page, when you win a belt, it's yours forever. I think in the UFC, they may actually give you a different one every time you win. I think you have multiples, and then they changed. I think every time you defend your title, they put a ruby around the outside of the belt. If you can see the picture of Alex behind me, there's a couple red rubies on there every time you get a title defense.
And Ken's museum, behind him, that's Ken's museum, by the way. The Louvre has nothing over Ken Rideout. Really. I mean, you don't have to go to France. Really, you go right there to Tennessee, and you could, if he's gracious enough to allow you in, you can see that. And I'd like to add one other thing. I know everybody, for the most part, want to see Triple G and Canelo again. I think it's too late for it to see really what you want to see. But okay, I get it. But for me, if I had my druthers, this might disappoint some people, but I live in the real world of what I think is the real world, at least, and what I think would be at this point a more interesting maybe fight. Although that fight would be interesting, don't get me wrong, Triple G and Canelo 3. But for me now, I'd like to see Canelo and Benavidez, and I'd like to see Triple G and Charlo.
Oh, Triple G and Charlo's a fight that I could get excited about.
Yeah, Ken. That's what I would like to see. But
I'm with you.
I won't close my eyes, though, if there's a Triple G Canelo 3.
Yep. All right, Rob, if we can get some time on the clock here, if you're ready, and we'll do some, we got three quick hitter rounds. And, well, we're going to do the Ryan Garcia versus Tagoe. We're going to do Sebastian, Fundora, and Erickson, Lubin. And then we'll finish it off with Tecia, Torres, and Mackenzie, Dern from the UFC.
Can I get my other second? I mean, nothing. I don't complain much.
Rob's,
you know what I mean, Ken?
Rob's trying to shortchange him here.
I don't like to complain and be trifle, but I'd like to have my full three.
Yep. All right. And with that here, let me set it up for you. So Ryan Garcia in action after a long layoff against the fighter from Ghana, Emmanuel Tagoe. I think until maybe his only second time fighting out of Ghana, and it looked like at times it reminded me of the scene from Rocky where Rocky's trying to catch the chicken. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to Tagoe, but it looked like they were just maybe he thought there was a bonus for surviving the fight. And, Ryan was trying to go get him. In all honesty, he probably should get a guy like that out of there. It was just a terrible fight. I love Ryan Garcia, but my God, no one wants to see this anymore. Either step up and fight someone who's really good, or I don't know what else, but no one's here for this, which is why we're going to make it a quick 3-minute segment versus giving it the whole breakdown, because I just gave you the breakdown. One guy chasing another guy and trying to hit him with bombs, and the one guy trying to run away for his life. How'd you like it?
I'm going to jump on I didn't know I was going to do this, but that's okay. That's where you got to prove yourself. You got to be ready to adjust on the fly, in the ring or outside the ring, or as a commentator or as an analyst. I'm going to jump on that Balboa reference from the first Rocky, where when he was fighting him the first time, he was fighting Creed, there was a moment where Balboa realized that he wasn't respected. He wasn't significant. He was just a prop. He was a prop for the champ. He was a prop for the champ to go get rid of him, play with him, do whatever he wanted to do with him, and take his bows under the light when it was over. That's exactly what this fight was and felt, and it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good. It felt like that's exactly what Tagoe was. He was a prop. He was a prop for the Golden Boy, the new Golden Boy, for the chosen one, the anointed one, if you will. And I don't mean to be harsh on Garcia, but I'm being honest. He's a talented kid. I know it. He's proven himself as a fighter before, getting off the floor, with the character that he did against Campbell. The biggest step up that he's had in his career so far. But this fight, it was like it was just a showcase, and it got disturbing after a while. It did. It got a little uncomfortable to watch after a while because there was no respect for Tagoe, and I understand it. I mean, he didn't want to fight Tagoe. He was trying to survive. He just wanted to, and I know it's hard to look good against those guys, and it's hard to knock out those guys when they don't try and they don't give you a chance in that kind of way by exchanging with you. But still, they chose the guy. And they chose him because, again, it was supposed to be a guy that was going to deliver what they wanted, which was a sensational knockout where they could take their bows. And it got to the point where it was difficult to watch because he didn't have any respect, not that he needed to at that point, but Garcia was jumping in at the end. He was launching himself to get a knockout. And I was watching, I was saying, he's developing bad habits. I mean, this is not good. And if Tagoe would just throw something, he might surprise everyone and hit him on the kisser and drop him. I mean, that's how reckless and sloppy Garcia was getting just to get what he thought he was supposed to get. Just like, Creed thought, Apollo thought he was going to get in the first one, and he didn't get it. He was jumping in there. I mean, even the form on his right hands, he was cuffing, he was slapping with some of those right hands because he was trying to get him in there so fast to score the knockout. The integrity of everything, of his plan, of his fight plan, of his technique, the integrity of that went out the window. He was just launching himself to get a knockout. It looked like it was supposed to be a setup almost, and it was I thought it was terrible. It was an awful fight to watch. It was an awful fight to televise. And at the end of the day, instead of taking his bows, I think the opposite happened. I think it probably hurt the stock of Ryan Garcia.
100%. I was going to say, let's talk about one guy whose stock went down with a win, and now let's talk about a guy whose stock went through the roof, in my opinion, and that's Sebastian Fundora. 6'5.5", 153 pounds, incredibly awkward opponent for anyone getting in there with him, and he looked great against Erickson. Lubin stops him in between at the end of the ninth round. Lubin's corner waves it off. Man, I was so happy for Fundora. I've been high on this kid since the beginning, and he's just like seems so lanky and awkward, but man, he's putting it together and developing nicely. I really like watching him fight. He seems like a nice kid in the interviews afterwards, from Coachella, out in that like Mexican American heritage out there in the California desert. How'd you like him? What'd you think?
I'd like to get my second, so it's 3 minutes, but that's okay. I'll go 1 second because I took extra seconds. I see what Rob's trying to do. I got you. I took a couple extra seconds. Okay. All right. Let's go. I think that, first of all, after suffering through the Garcia, the Garcia fight with Tagoe, this felt like they gave you something back, like a treat. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like getting a Twinkie or a ring ding. Those kind of, I felt like that. And I was appreciative of it. I was. And the first thing that I tweeted, and this was watching it taped, but I didn't know what happened. I was watching it live to tape, so to speak. But I was very honest. I told the people out there looking at good enough to look at my tweets that I really was upset I didn't see it live, and I'll tell you why. Because at one point I tweeted that Fundora is just too easy to hit. He stands straight up, and you know what? Yeah, he's having his way. Yeah, he's winning the fight. He might even be dominating. He already had Lubin on the floor. But if Lubin could figure out for a minute how to get away from the uppercuts, which he was getting killed by, if he could figure out for a minute and move his hands, he's going to test this guy. He's going to really test this Fundora. And sure enough, 20 seconds later, bang, he moved his hands, he had him on the floor, and he tested him. And Fundora showed what the old timers would say, the makings of a champion as far as character and heart. He got off the floor. But I'm telling you, another thing I tweeted early on, Ken, was I don't care how successful, how many wins he runs up against this level of competition at different levels of at this level of competition. I don't care how many wins he runs up. I think that he needs to fight tall. That's just how I feel. If he's truly going to be successful to the point that they want him to be successful. I know that he's unusual and he gets your attention. He's 6'6", whatever he is. It's amazing. He's a skyscraper. They call him the skyscraper. You know, he goes in there and he finds a way to throw the right punches, even though he's got long arms on the inside, where normally you see guys with short arms working well on the inside. He does, and he's got the heart. And he's fan friendly, as you said. He goes after you. But he should fight tall. He's not the only way to use those physical assets really the right way. And I think to really get up the ladder, to the higher rungs of the ladder in this tough business, is to use your assets the right way. Learn to fight tall on the outside. But I think that he's going to get knocked out. I think when he fights Charlo or whoever's coming next, that you're going to see, because he's, as I said earlier in the show, he is just, I said it about the Korean Zombie, I said it about Murata. He's too easy to hit. He's a skyscraper, but when he gets inside, here's the problem with a skyscraper. There's a lot of windows there in a skyscraper. And when you stand straight up in boxing and you're a skyscraper, there's a lot of windows to get broken. And he got a couple windows broken the other night. He better think about that in his next step. But I back you in the way that I like the kid. I love his tenacity. I love his heart. He brings it. But I think there's some bad weather in his future.
Well, the good news is he's 24 years old. He seems to be improving. I've seen him improve. The kid he fought, Lubin knocked out Jason Rosario, who beat J-Rock Williams. His only loss prior to the weekend, Lubin, was he did get knocked out by Jermell Charlo. So who knows? Let's see. I'd love to see.
But let me say one thing about Lubin.
Yeah.
He showed all the heart in the world. I loved it. And here's an interesting thing. I'd like to ask the fans this. I'd like to ask you this. When the corner stopped it, I thought Fundora was ahead. He wasn't. It turned out that the judges had Lubin ahead, all three of them by 2 points. I was shocked. I really was. Maybe I'm wrong, but I was shocked. I know they each had a 10-8 round, but I thought that Fundora was ahead. But at the end of the day,
they did. All three judges had Lubin ahead. Yeah. 75, 77, 75, 76, 74 twice.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes, yeah, I know. That's why I'm bringing it out, because I don't know if the fans will. So I was it was like, yeah, they should stop it. He can't win anyway. He's getting beat up. He's getting hurt, all that stuff. And then I see that and I said, wait a minute. I wonder if his corner would have still stopped it if they knew that he was actually ahead.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe they would have, because at the end of the day,
if you know you're up 2 with 3 rounds to go, you just please stay away from it.
I know,
Run.
But at the end of the day, Ken, really, if he did it for the right reasons, the corner, and I'm going to say he did.
Yeah.
I'm going to say he did too. I don't know differently.
I agree with you.
It's the right thing, because all you're supposed to care about is the welfare of your fighter. And if you think that's in jeopardy, that he's getting hit too much, just like Eddie Futz in the 14th round stopped Joe Frazier in that fight. In the 14th, when there was only one more round against Ali in that fight, I think the drill in Manila. So the only thing you're supposed to really be influenced by is is your fighter in jeopardy of being hurt, and that's it. So I give him kudos for doing that for that reason. But again, I just thought that it was very, it was just very interesting when you saw that. And you know what it reminded his face? He was so busted up. So just on that, I think the corner did the right thing. But he was so busted up, Lubin, Ken, his face, where it reminded me of Meldrick Taylor against Chavez in the 15th round, where the referee wound up stopping it. But that's what he looked like. He looked like Meldrick Taylor in that fight.
Like that weird thing between his eyes, right? That's huge hematoma right in the middle of his forehead.
Yeah, he was.
It's very odd.
I mean, he was banged
right.
down, and he got hit so many uppercuts. My goodness.
Oh, God.
Somebody's got to teach him to get away from an uppercut. If he's gonna continue. And one last thing, just to give all the information to the fans out there. Lubin was a top prospect when he turned pro. He was young. He had a chance to go on the Olympic team. He forgoed that to turn pro early. Obviously, he was one of the top amateurs in the country, and he didn't quite perform. He was when they signed him at the beginning. He was supposed to be, definitely almost a short thing to be a world champion, even though there's never a short thing to that. That's too tricky a road, but too many potholes on that road. But he obviously didn't get to the place that people thought he was going to get to when he turned pro from the amateurs.
Yep. All right, last one. Let's get 3 minutes. Mackenzie Dern gets a split decision, razor-thin victory over Tecia Torres, the always steady, always tough Tecia Torres. Man, these girls are so tough. I sound like a broken record, but I'm always just so surprised to see from where they've come over the last, let's say, 5 or 10 years to where they are now. It's just like, man, the technique, the punching, the boxing, the hands, the groundwork is always good. But wow, they looked great. And that's a tough fight. How'd you like that one?
All right, this is what I want before I start. Because I stole a couple minutes here and there. So I want to show the fans I'm fair. And I try to do the right thing. I'm going to give back. I don't think I stole that much, but I'm going to give back 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I only want 1 minute to handle this one. 1 minute. Okay? I want to be fair. Oh, he doesn't even give me a minute. He gives me 59 seconds. All right. That's fair. And by the way, before I start, please, all right? I know you people are great, but there's a couple out there that can be a little silly. Don't tell me I didn't give the woman enough time. Please don't do that to me. Don't do that to yourselves. Because if you do, you know what I'm going to say? Like the great comedian Sebastian Maniscalco, right, Ken? I'm going to say, aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you embarrassed to behave that way? So, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's go. Ding! Ring that bell, baby.
Go for it.
All right, I want to see it moving. It's not moving. There it goes. All right, listen, Torres had to work really hard to survive being submitted on the mat by Dern, in the first 2 rounds. I mean, Dern was superior over there. And I got to give Torres, Dern, of course, won it. I give all the credit in the world. And these women are special. They are so tough, and they are special. But I have to give credit to Torres with her gallant comeback in the 3rd round. It was she did a remarkable job surviving, escaping, doing what she had to do those first 2 rounds in the wrong environment, the wrong geography for herself. But at the end, she made a gallant drive down the stretch to come back in that 3rd round. And it turned out a little too late, but a real tough fight. applaud just bravo to both women. My respect to them both.
Yeah, that was, well, Teddy, we got a lot in this week. Next, we'll be back with you guys next Monday. Actually, we got a special interview hopefully coming up now with Jake Paul. That will be coming up. We'll post you guys on social media when that will be available. And the next time we talk, Teddy, will be from Boston on Monday, right after the race. As soon as I finish the race, I'm going to come back to the room and get right online, and we'll get an episode recorded for the fans like we do every week. And thanks for doing this today, Teddy. It was great to see you. Thanks for being up all day on Saturday from sun up to sundown, almost from sun up to sun up the next day.
Yeah, just about. And good luck. Good luck with that race. Bring home the bacon, as
yes,
they used to say.
That's it. All right, guys. Thanks for being with us. Do me a favor. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. Keep it going. The numbers keep going up. We're happy to do it every week. And
240,000 subscribers. And we jumped there quick. The day before we were at 239, literally, like 10 hours earlier. And then over the weekend with everything, boom. It jumped in 9 hours, 10 hours, one day. It jumped from 239, which is extraordinary, to 240,000 subscribers. Keep going. Just please keep going. Keep going.
Although all that tweeting Saturday was driving the traffic. One more thing, if you want to help us at the show, subscribe to Athletic Greens, athleticgreens.com. Use the promo code Atlas to get 10 free travel packs with your first purchase. I'd hit the subscription. That's what I do. I get it every month, take it every day. With that, we'll be back with you guys next week. Thanks for being with us.